Today is Sunday, October 28th, 2018, and this is Celtics Beat here on CLNS Media, the leading online provider of audio video coverage of your Boston Celtics. Evan Valenti filling in for Adam Kaufman here on this Sunday. Today's show featuring Celtics blog Sam Sheehan is brought to you in part by DraftKings. Go to DraftKings.com right now. Use the promo code Celtics to support the show and play for free with your first deposit. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Today's show is also brought to you by Robinhood. Get a free stock when you sign up at Celtics.Robinhood.com. And today's show is finally brought to you by 1 in 100. Log on to 1 in 100. That's ONEIN100.co and get a free raffle ticket when you sign up. Feeling lucky? Give it a shot today. Evan Valenti here on Celtics Beat here on a Sunday, filled in for Adam Kaufman. Adam is doing World Series stuff for WBZ, for the Red Sox, and he's doing stuff for us, too, by the way. He's doing stuff for CLNS as well. So he is taking this week off. Evan Valenti filling in for Adam, giving you the same spiel. Make sure you go to our YouTube page and subscribe to CLNS Media on our YouTube page. To the 18,000 that do subscribe, you guys are the friggin' best. I love you guys. Also follow me on Twitter at Evan Valenti, EvanValenti. And Adam will be back next week. Also check out our website, CLNS Media. And just want to, just prepare you for what's about to happen here on this podcast. This podcast is going to go off the rails immediately. It's just going to be a complete bleep show, essentially. I've got in trouble for swearing on podcasts, so I have to tone it down. But we welcome in Celtics blog Sam Sheehan. Sam, do you want to prepare our listeners for what the hell might happen here? It's going to be weird.
Look, I understand this is a family show, so I'll keep it PG-13.
Right.
All I have to say is that I blame Kobe Bryant for every single one of the Celtics losses this season, and it's entirely his fault. And I encourage listeners to take it out on Kobe.
Kungu put up a cool stat the other day about Tatum's long twos, and that is completely Kobe's fault. I mean, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. This is like kind of like when Michael Myers, you think he's dead, and then he just rises up from beyond the grave. This is I'm done hating Kobe now, and then it's like the WrestleMania gif of the Undertaker bursting out of the coffin and sitting up. That's Kobe coming back for one more thing to ruin
our young son Jayson Tatum.
Yeah. No, God, it's not. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world to see him kind of have that shot, because I think that shot is going to be important, in the postseason. That's a more useful shot, particularly late in the shot clock when defenses are tightening up. I think it has use. Where it doesn't have use is in the first 10 seconds of the shot clock.
Yeah.
Against every team in the Orlando Magic, when you're kind of trying to build cohesion on your first unit and kind of trying to figure out where everyone's at.
Mamba mentality, man. It feels good to hate Kobe Bryant again. That's always good. I like that. I like when we can do that. I'm going to let you do this because you are so passionate about this, but I am going to let you take a lap, if you will, because Lil B, the bass god, did give a shout out to Danganronpa this week, and that is completely your wheelhouse. So if you want to take a lap and educate the people a little bit about this video game that has taken over Weird Celtics Twitter, then be my guest, my friend.
No, I'll touch in here real quick. Lil B, the bass god, has the ability to curse and bless everything at will, and he has given his blessing to one of my favorite video games in Danganronpa. So I very much appreciate that, because it's something I've tried to, it's one of the two things I love besides the Celtics. So thank you, Lil B, for shouting that out, and for cursing Kevin Durant, who spurned the Celtics. So he didn't know that at the time, but he did curse Kevin.
Now he does. Yeah. Let me get you real quick your impression so far, because I'm not going to lie, I've been a little I should phrase this better. Not disappointed. It's just been a kind of a weird start to the season, so I feel like weird Celtics Twitter is like kind of not off to a good start. I mean, last year I feel like was just primetime meme making, and everybody was making good memes. I think we might have memed ourselves. I think with the Time Lord stuff and obviously with Hebert of Riffs, really hammering the Time Lord stuff, like that has worked with Robert Williams. But other than that, I feel like WCT has been a little lackluster this year. I think it's just because is it too early, I think?
No, it's back on track. I don't know if you saw Tom Westerholm of Mass Live. He actually did a piece where he, with Robert Williams, called Hebert on speakerphone and had Hebert explain the Time Lord nickname to him. So if you haven't, it's one of the. It's literally the greatest piece of journalism I've ever read in my entire life. Yeah. Robert. I think Robert's review is I could blank with this. So
yeah.
Definitely check that out. Great work there by Tom. But I think Weird Celtics Twitter is all about sort of joy and sort of rejecting sort of the norms and sort of being weird. And the Celtics kind of came in the favorites, you know what I'm saying? And I think that there really hasn't been a lot to kind of sort of celebrate and be weird about early in the season, because there's just been some pretty ugly games besides that first night when they blew out the when they kind of blew out the Sixers. I know they didn't literally blow them out, but it felt like
they blew them out. They blew them out. I wrote off the Sixers completely after that game. Yeah. It was game 1 of 82. I was like, no, Sixers are done. They're cooked. Yeah. They have no chance. If they can't beat a Celtics team that is coming back from the dead here, and they lost by 17 was the final score? Yeah, they have no chance. But I do want to get into that, because that last thing you just kind of pointed out, this season's been kind of weird. It's lack of cohesion everywhere, right? It's just been a little herky-jerky in all the 5 games so far that we've seen. And there's a game we're recording this on a Friday. This is going to come out Sunday, so we're missing the game on Saturday at 7:00. But so far, just a lot of disjointedness between the Celtics team that's usually praised for being a really complete unit, whether it's the starters or the bench. In terms of this season so far, Sheehan, what has bothered you the most about this Celtics team in terms of on-court production?
I really just think this isn't going to shock anybody, but it's the way they're running the offense. There have been a lot of long twos, and I'm an analytics guy, but I'm also I think the Houston model is probably a little bit too far. I think you do take open looks, but you also got to be conscientious, of when you're taking them. The long twos are always going to be there. A defense will always give you a long two, and I think taking them early in the shot clock and not working for something better is something we've kind of seen the Celtics do a lot of this year. And I think that has affected some things. I think it's affected, how they've run the offense. So here's an interesting stat, and I kind of wrote this up for Celtics blog, and I was just checking to make sure that it's still, relevant, and it is. The Celtics currently still lead the NBA per NBA.com in open field goal attempts. So that open and wide open. So that's either the closest defender is either 4 to 6 feet away or 6 feet away. So the Celtics are getting open shots. This is more kind of about the quality of the shots, you know what I'm saying, though, because these wide open shots, the Celtics fall to 4th when you move it over to the threes and you're looking at how many wide open threes that they're getting. And as far as open threes, you move that over and the Celtics drop all the way, I think, down to 6th. So the Celtics are taking the open twos. And I think that if they want to, make this offense look a little bit better, they've got to not be as enchanted by that. And I think part of that is, I don't want to get, make this sound like it's the end of the world, but I think there is a little bit of truth to, some of the worries that people might have had in the season about kind of getting all these guys together. I think it's going to get figured out. But, guys are obviously kind of don't want to step on each other's toes, and at the same time are kind of getting their shots up where they can take them. So if they see themselves, open with a long two with, 18, 17 on the shot clock, they're taking it. And I think that's going to be kind of the next step for this offense, is to work in for something better. Look for, make the ball hit the paint and then make the pass out of it. By the same token, not overpassing. I think in the Orlando game we saw, the Celtics weren't able to hit shots, and Al Horford in particular, I think he was 1 for 7 from 3 that game because their game plan was to sort of, pull Nick Vucevic out of the paint and put, I think it was DJ Augustine was their point guard, make him and Vucevic, the primary defenders with a 1-5, pick and pop. And, Al kind of started, overpassing his way out of a little bit by the end of the game because he wasn't quite hitting his shot. So I think that's going to be the next step for the Celtics offense. Now, I still think that they, I think it's pretty clear they're not going to be like the best at offense in the NBA, especially the way we've seen the league look thus far with all the points that everybody's getting up on the board. But I do think that this will be an offense that settles in as, kind of a top 10 unit versus I think they finished 18th last year, given all the injuries. But I think once Gordon Hayward has his legs back under him, once Kyrie Irving has his legs back under him, and once, Brad Stevens and the team figures this out, this is going to be a very good offensive team. It's just they haven't hit their shots early. And, also on top of that, they haven't really been able to, make teams pay. Celtics currently on open three-pointers still shooting 20%, even after kind of getting back on track against the Thunder a little bit. So that's still obviously quite bad, and I expect them to be much better than that.
Quick break from Sam Sheen to tell you today's show is brought to you by DraftKings. Basketball season is finally here, and you know what that means? It's time to put your basketball knowledge to the test with one-day fantasy basketball at DraftKings. DraftKings is giving away over $400 million in prizes this season. That's more than 10 times what the Lakers are paying LeBron. That's 10 times more than LeBron. That's how much money's at stake here. Get in on the action today. No matter what your skill level is, there's a contest waiting for you at DraftKings. And whether you're a beginner or an expert or anything in between, you can find a way to make money. Drafting your team is simple. Just select 8 players and stay under the $50,000 salary cap. And look at what's going on in the NBA right now. Look at some of the guys out there that put up numbers. I mean, obviously Giannis is a guy you're going to want to have, or Anthony Davis is a guy to build the team around. But also look for values. I don't know how much Zach LaVine is going for, but right now might be a good buy low time. Or Karis LeVert of the Nets. I don't know how many guys in the Nets are worth a whole lot, but Karis LeVert is putting up numbers. Put him on your team and win some cash today. There's no better way to turn your love of basketball into money. So download the app or head over to DraftKings.com right now and use our code Celtics to support the show and play free with your first deposit. And remember, there will be $400 million in total prizes up for grabs throughout the season. That's the code Celtics to play for free with your first deposit only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Yeah, I don't worry. Everybody's, up in arms with the Celtics offense. I'm not worried about it. You got to remember, you go back to, not everybody's going to be that 07, 08 Celtics team that just immediately gels right away and they, rattle off how many wins ever they rattled off, right? So it's not always going to be that way. Sometimes you get the LeBron and in Miami years where the first year there in Miami wasn't the greatest start, but they got their act together by December. Then all of a sudden by January, February, they're just rolling over teams. And then, that first year they didn't win the championship, and the next 2 they win, obviously. But they go to, how many straight finals, 4 straight finals or whatever. And, they roll off that dynasty. So I'm not the offense, all the stats you listed, those are the things that I love about this offense. They've had so many open looks, and they're just not hitting open shots. Those are going to fall eventually. Now, the point of the offense sometimes they settle for something early in the shot clock, and when they could get something better later in the shot clock. That I happen to agree with you with. That does bug me when, you have got, and the pace of the game has been so different this year, and a billion people have written about how this game has been sped up a little bit. But I do think that Boston needs to do a little bit of a better job in their half-court sets, trying to get not the first option, the first read in the offense, but try to dig a little deeper and passing up a good shot for a better shot. Those are the things that are really the hallmarks of a Brad Stevens offense, and you hear Scalabrine talk about it all the time in the past couple of years, and you just mentioned how Boston needs to find a way to get more paint touches and get more, guys shots around the rim and guys going to the free throw line. And you have so many guys in this offense that can at least get into the paint, whether it's Kyrie or Tatum or Brown or Rozier. Those guys specifically, because of their burst and their athleticism, have usually no trouble getting into the lane. But it seems like the Celtics have fallen such in love with a lot of their jump shots, and especially Tatum, who's taking a lot of these long twos. But the one thing that does bug me offensively about this team is the lack of paint touches. And we all know how crucial that is to Boston's success because, and we all know, the best way to get a three-point shot or a three-point shooter in rhythm is to get that kick-out pass from the inside so they have a good look at it and they can see the ball coming at them and still keep their eyes on the hoop. That's usually where the Celtics thrive, those kick-out passes, and we haven't seen too many of those so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics are currently – right now, number one in 2-point field goal frequency when open. You know what I'm saying? So that the looks are open, but they're also taking it. You know what I'm saying? And to the point of them being jump shots or not falling. I think the Celtics are fifth from the bottom with a 42% field goal percentage on their 2-pointers, which is not good. I think that Brad Stevens, an open shot is an open shot. But I think more just from sort of watching the games in and out and looking at how the Celtics want to run their offense. I mean, maybe I'm being a little bit selfish here, but I think this team is too offensively talented to be, settling for long 2-pointers with 14 seconds or more on the shot clock. I think that you have so many different options, so many different ways to attack, collapse the defense, create a mismatch. There's just so many other ways to at least try to get a shot at the rim or an open 3-pointer before kind of settling for what the defense is going to give you in a long 2. That I feel like that this is we're not going to see that hold up. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's also going to once the Celtics start hitting their shots, too, I think that's also going to open things up a little bit because teams will play them at least a little bit differently. And I really think, and not to mention on top of all of this, the Celtics are going to be all right because they are by far, and I mean by far, the number one defensive team in the NBA right now, like in terms of just points per game and all of that, like an astronomically, like 5 points ahead or something like that.
Another quick break to tell you today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. It's never a bad time to start thinking about your investment portfolio, whether you're looking to buy or sell stocks, crypto, ETFs. Make sure you sign up for Robinhood. And I know markets can be complicated, okay? I have no clue what I'm doing, but Robinhood makes everything easy for you. Robinhood is going to build you your own customized newsfeed right when you sign up. They sort certain stocks for you in different collections, like the 100 most popular, or social media, or pharmaceutical, and you'll learn more about it as you go along. It'll kind of build off your preferences. Get started today. Sign up is extremely easy, and all it takes is 4 taps on your phone to start trading. And the best part is Robinhood doesn't charge commission fees. You keep all of your profits. It's still in your pocket. Robinhood is giving listeners a free stock like Apple or Ford or Sprint to help you build your portfolio. Sign up today at Celtics.Robinhood.com. That's Celtics.Robinhood.com for a free stock as soon as you sign up. Back to Sam. I think the only thing that really confuses me about the Celtics team, again, other than the open missed jump shots, you look at their rebounding numbers, and this is the weirdest stat. And, so my eyes tell me without Aaron Baines, the Seeds have struggled to rebound in the basketball. It's pretty obvious when you take the big, man from Australia out of the paint, they're just going to struggle in that area, right? So I was just my eye test tells me they're struggling. And then you look at the rebounds per game leaders, and the Celtics actually are 7th in the NBA in rebounding. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense because that means they're good at rebounding. But then you look at what they're averaging on the other end. They actually allow more rebounds. Their opponents are out-rebounding them by a very small margin. But their opponents are out-rebounding them, which it comes back to the eye test thing where I'm like, this team is not a great rebounding team if they're missing guys, which is no duh, right? If they don't have, a guy that's 6'10" and is built like the Hulk, if they don't have that guy in the paint, they're going to struggle on that end. But I just have flashbacks, Sheehan, to Celtics team that would struggle to rebound the basketball. This has been a problem for a couple of years. Last year was a little more shored up because they brought Baines in, but this year, you have no Baines, and all of a sudden those numbers kind of suffer, and you kind of have, you get reverted back to a time where the possessions were a little bit dicier on the defensive end because they couldn't get defensive rebounds and finish possessions. So you go back to one of the, I'm not saying hot takes, but one of the themes of this summer was I think everybody, like as Simmons has now coined like the hot take studio analyst thing. People forget that Aaron Baines is really good at basketball. Like, actually, yes, I think people don't actually really consider what Aaron Baines brings to the table. Like, I know he's fun and looks like a Viking and shoots threes more than Ben Simmons does. But, when you get down to it, like the things that he does do very well, rebound the basketball, defend bigger bigs, like the Celtics are currently missing that. And if this injury lingers at all, that's going to be a problem.
I think it'll be a problem, but I also, I mean, the Celtics have sort of, they've struggled at times with rebounding the basketball. I know it was a problem in the Orlando game, or in the Oklahoma City game. But that's also Oklahoma City. That's kind of what they do is they gang rebound because nobody on that team can shoot, and they know they have to, and they know that the attempts are going to be there. They've just built with guys like Jeremy Grant, Steven Adams in particular, and Russell Westbrook. All these guys who crash the glass. And we've seen guys like Kyrie Irving had some big rebounds down the stretch of that Oklahoma City game. And we've seen, Jaylen Brown and Terry Rozier are guys who are extremely plus rebounders for their size. So, sort of to me, Aaron Baines' value, like the rebounding, it's more about, kind of having someone to sort of screen and open things up and put big bodies on guys just having another big body out there so you can, sort of run through some of these double screen sets or, have someone screening off ball while someone screens on ball and, running more of these complex actions and just because of like how solid he is. I don't know. I guess I'm less worried about rebounding at this point in the season than I am about the offense, just because I see some things that could turn into habits. And I would be significantly more worried if the man on our bench was not Brad Stevens.
Yeah,
I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's why I'm not worried about the offense because Brad usually would find a way to figure that out. But rebounding sometimes is something you can't really scheme, right? That's got to be that's an effort thing, and that's just a sheer size thing. And you look around the NBA, like there are teams that can bully the Celtics around. If Aaron Baines especially isn't healthy, like you look at, I have flashbacks of Jonas Valanciunas having like 14, 15, 16, 17, 21 rebound games against Boston where I want to throw my head through a wall and basically want to die a slow death. We're going to get into some fun stuff. What is your favorite Celtics hot take so far this season? Because 5 games obviously leads to a lot of Celtics hot takes. Because I know mine. Mine actually was unearthed on Friday morning by everybody's favorite talking head, Nick Wright, where he was like, did you see, everybody? Kyrie had the ball, and then Brad called timeout, and they drew up a play for Marcus Morris. This is not going to work. I'm like, oh, my goodness. This is just really what we're going to do every single day? No wonder why Kyrie hates you clowns. Like, this is just ridiculous. Look, just because Brad called timeout to draw up a play, you know why? He had Kyrie have the ball just to see what Oklahoma City would do. Yeah. This is what Brad does all the time. He called a timeout late in the game. It was like whatever seconds left. It was like 16 or 12 or how many ever seconds left, 13, somewhere around there, where literally they ran a play, quote-unquote, out of bounds underneath Oklahoma City's basket, and it was literally just to see how Oklahoma City would handle the switch. And then Brad called a timeout and then diagrammed the real play. This is what they do all the time. But you have clowns that go on these big platforms and talk about how Kyrie's already going to be pissed 5 games into the season because Brad's drawing up plays for Marcus Moore. Like, what are we doing, Sam? What are we doing?
I Well, first of all, I think it was, Brad Stevens should not have left his burn book out where Nick Wright could get at it. I thought it was I thought he should not have left it out where he drew little devil horns and pen over Kyrie Irving and said, I love how he just wears anything. Like Brad shouldn't have done that, and
right.
I think Nick Wright is right to call him out on that. I mean, to get serious, like I don't know, though. That's like not even. I don't even really kind of consider any of that stuff. That's not like. That's just like a take that's not really even like rooted in fact. You know what I'm saying? I think that the takes. Well, something. If we want a hot take of my own, and I don't even know, this might even be a nice cold take. I mean. Marcus Morris has been the most consistent at Celtic early in the season.
That's not even a hot take. That's just a fact. Like he's been unbelievably clutch when the Celtics needed a boost. And every one of these games, like Morris has usually been the guy that's given it to him. And you go back to that OKC game, he gets the go ahead bucket last night to win the game. Right. Basically, like that was not shocking to me at all in the slightest. And then you hear about how afterwards, how he's taking that Paul George commercial very personally. And you're like, oh, no wonder why he wanted to bury the Thunder. He was, basically singled out in a Gatorade commercial.
Yeah, well, and just, even on top of that, even before, Al Horford poured gasoline on himself and, hit those 3 threes and blocked Steven Adams and kind of set the game back on track. When Marcus Morris came into the game, things were looking bad. And I was relieved to see Marcus Morris. And I tweeted this. I was like, man, like we've hit a point where I'm looking for Marcus Morris to come in and, kind of set a tone in terms of shot selection. That's how much things have changed. That Marcus Morris, a former Carmelo Anthony style gunner, is now, kind of this guy who's taking the right shots and, has just become such a consistent player. He deserves so much credit. And I owe him a big apology because I was pretty down on him early in the year last year. And he's really been one of the most solid bench players for the Celtics. And, he's still, while Gordon Hayward's working his way back from this, he's been one of the Celtics, most consistent contributers.
1.47 points per possession, or points per shot. 1.48.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
This is that's senior. That's Flastad right there. That's right. Another Hebert of Riff's nickname, the Flastad. He'll drive you to practice, ask you to start a cigarette for him while he's got his other one going. That's kind of just the badass mentality that Marcus Morris brings to the game.
Is Marcus Morris basically is Morris basically Denzel Washington from He Got Game, but not in prison?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, better.
Right. Made it to the NBA.
More badass. Yes.
One final break to tell you today's show is brought to you by 1 in 100. I'll be honest with you guys. I had to look this up to figure out what this is. So what is 1 in 100? Well, let's say the World Series comes back to Fenway Park and you want to go to the game, right? It's going to be an amazing atmosphere. The Sox are going for their 4th World Series in 14 years, which is absolutely ridiculous. And guess what? Tickets are going to be absolutely insane if this series gets back to Boston. Hilariously expensive. Do you want a more affordable way to go to the game? Well, give 1 in 100 a shot. All you got to do is log on to 1in100.co. That's ONEIN, the number 100.co. Then click on the game you want to go to. Buy a raffle ticket to that game for your chance to win a pair of tickets, okay? The price of your raffle ticket is just 1/100th of the price of what 1 in 100 paid for the ticket. Still confused? Because it confused me for a minute. Let's say 1 in 100 paid $1,000 for the pair of tickets. Your cost of raffle ticket is just $10. You pick a number, drawing happens, only 100 people get to buy a raffle ticket. You have a 1 in 100 chance to win the tickets. It's really just that simple. It's the newest way, it's the best way to buy tickets to sporting events, to potentially score some tickets. It's just a small fraction of the actual ticket price. Score a pair of tickets to the World Series for like what? All $40, $50. That's pretty reasonable, folks, especially because the seats are dope. Okay, your first raffle ticket is free unless you're going to the World Series. After signing up, just log on to that's ONEIN, the number 100. That's 100.co. Feeling lucky? Give it a shot today.
All right, last one here, Sheehan. You and I have kind of talked about this like off air in various different forms.
Mm-hmm.
But at what point do we just go all out with the Jayson Tatum's the best player on the roster hot take? Because I know it's only 5 games, but I know Morris has been fantastic, but Tatum has been just on a different planet. We talked about Kyrie not looking like he's in shape totally right away, and obviously Gordon's got to battle his way back from a couple of different things. Tatum has not looked like he's slowed down at all whatsoever. He's even with the shots he's taking that we pull our hair out about it, but he's still just absolutely unbelievably talented. And now it's to a point where the confidence is through the roof because he was scoring 20 a game in the playoffs. Now he's doing it in the regular season, and you're like, wow, this kid is only 20 years old. This is going to get really, really special very, very quick.
Yeah, he's still, pretty clearly been, one of the Celtics, big leaders. I want to see, I have these numbers here. I'm pretty sure, I'm just double checking this. Not quite. It's Terry Rozier, but he's one of the plus minus leaders, even in spite of my whining about the shots that he's taken. So he's clearly making an impact. This is an incredibly small sample size. I hate using plus minus in
5 games.
Smaller than a half season. It doesn't do much, but it's very, very useful in bigger sample sizes. But right now, as of now, worth keeping an eye on. He's second on the team, only behind Terry Rozier in the plus minus, and I think that's that's big and impactful. Now, I think part of that has been the starters, to be kind about it, are just playing like doo-doo. Right. I can't think of a nicer way to say it. So for him to do that, along all these other guys, Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward are actually at the bottom of the team in plus minus right now, because both those guys, and I think it's pretty clear, at least to me, that those guys are not right now. They're both coming back, and I think as they get stronger, we're going to see the plus minus of the starters kind of creep its way back up. But I still think Al Horford is probably the best and most important player on this team. I think you got to kind of define it. I think if Al Horford went down with injury for an extended period of time, I think the Celtics would really be in trouble and quickly find themselves with no shot of getting home court, versus the Warriors, which I think has got to be kind of one of the goals for this season, of the regular season, is you definitely want to have home court for a possible finals matchup, just if you have championship aspirations. Mm-hmm. And if Al Horford were to go down for an extended period of time, I just don't think that I love Daniel Tice. Aaron Baines has been excellent, but I just think that what Al Horford brings is so irreplaceable. Just his anchoring of the Celtics defense. We've seen his impact time and time again. And even though Jayson Tatum has been sort of on fire with his scoring and some of the other stuff that he does, I think that when, Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward are eventually going to get back to a level where that maybe isn't something the Celtics are hurting for quite as badly as they are now, in a time when they're just really hurting for offense at all times. But, it's certainly looking good for Jayson Tatum. I do not want they're, it is the East, but I think that if I were Jayson Tatum, one of my goals would be an all-star game, and I think that, he's sort of sniffing around the outside of that.
I think he's firmly in the conversation through 5 games. I think he's, there's so many wings that are absolutely disgusting in the East, and I'm not sure if you count Depot as a guard or a wing. He's just a good player. But there, with all the wings in the Eastern Conference, Tatum is on the short list of guys that make you drop your jaw every night. And you go back to, he's dunking all over Paul George, and he's got all these moves, and he's getting to the basket. He's slippery as hell. He has great handle. It seems to me, he's really attacking guys. I mean, really going after guys in one-on-one ISO situations, which is something that is a little scary, just in terms of they're doing it too much, but because the offense has been so stagnant, they've had to rely on him heavily in ISO situations, and he's come up big for the most part, so hopefully that evens itself out. With that being said, to have this much confidence in your game in your second year as a pro, taking a team that has title aspirations here and be like, you know what? No, get on my back for a while. We're still figuring our stuff out, but give me the ball, clear out. I mean, how many clear outs we've seen for Tatum so far this season? I just feel like it happens like 3 or 4 times a game where they do a pick and roll, he backs it out, tells everybody out of the way, and goes after that player. I mean, he did it against Embiid the first game of the year, and it really made my night.
Oh, that was so
great,
wonderful. Yeah. Oh man, there was a lot of good stuff. I felt bad for Embiid by the end of that night.
Well, the Celtics took different play. They did like 4 different guys with that Embiid that night, just with reckless abandon and just trying to posterize him all night.
Rough start to the year for Jaylen Brown, but he did in midair calculate, using advanced trigonometry, the way to bank home a slam dunk. Using quick mathematics after he left off, so that was pretty impressive.
He probably picked up at Harvard. He was at Harvard for a little bit. He was giving lectures at Harvard, so you got to have some sort of.
Well, that's what it was. He was combining math with psychology because he understood that to fully embrace nihilism and to totally destroy his opponent, he would need to prove to him that that this was inevitable. That even by Embiid playing it the perfect way and actually sort of blocking the dunk, it would still go in. So there was nothing that he could do, showing him, just how futile the world is and really just breaking him. Jaylen Brown has ended the 76ers season already, so that's my hot take. He broke them with nihilism and trigonometry with that Embiid dunk. Embiid is Werner Herzog would say that Embiid is a shell of a man now.
That's it. Well, that'll wrap it up here with me and Sheehan. I want to appreciate all you guys for tuning in for Sam and I just kind of shooting it for a little bit, and just because look, it's been a frustrating beginning part of the year. I understand that the Celtics are 3-2, and I think everybody expected them to roll off 5 wins in a row. But that being said, they've there's some things they need to work on. Yet they've been competitive a lot of the time, except for that Orlando game, which was weird. And they're going to get better. Everybody relax, and it's going to be fun.
Right.
All right. Well, Sam, thanks for jumping on, man. I appreciate the time. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right.
Actually,
thanks.
plug your stuff. What are you doing? What are you doing right now?
You can catch me right now on Celtics blog. We're getting ready. I think a little bit later on, there's a pod to be named later that I'm going to be a part of. That's going to be checking it out. You can follow me at Sam Sheehan, and I'll tweet that stuff out when I get there. But mostly just look for me on Celtics blog, and do me a favor and check out the work of Tom Westerholm. I think he's Tom NBA, Tom from Mass Live, and Hebert of Riffs. That wonderful Robert Williams piece.
Awesome.
You will not be disappointed.
No,
definitely
check
that out.
I love the line. It was like, you might get a concussion from me trying to explain this to you over the phone, so I had to do it in an email. That was like my favorite line of the whole piece. That was so great. Classic Hebert.
So
Classic
so
riffs, man.
Definitely check it out.
All right. Well, with that, thanks, Sam. I appreciate the time, buddy.
Yeah, take care.
And that will do it for this episode of Celtics Beat here on CLNS Media, the leading online provider of audio-video coverage of your Boston Celtics. Adam Kaufman should be back next week. He's out in L.A., cover the World Series for WBZ. He's actually been doing some stuff for CLNS Media out there as well with Trags. So make sure you follow Trags, Kaufman, everybody out in L.A. for the World Series on our YouTube page, on CLNS Media's YouTube page. Check that out. Subscribe to that, to the 18,000 of you that do. You guys friggin' rule. I love you guys so much. A couple thank yous to hand out. First, Sam Sheehan for joining me here today. Our sponsors, DraftKings, 1-100, Robinhood, all those for making this show possible. Nick Gelso, our CEO. We'll shout out to Larry H. Russell, John Zanis, of course, helping us out throughout the week. And most importantly, thank you to you guys, because you guys continue to be the greatest audience in the history of audiences. I love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Another edition of Celtics Beat. Hey, Gino, let's